One of the falsified claims put forward by one of the propaganda films made by the author of the Ministry of Culture of Armenia and Yerevan municipality. There is no such a territorial unit termed as Azerbaijan in the north of the Araz River. Such a territorial unit has never been existed. This territory was named Aran in all sources, and we also call it Aran. Azerbaijan is situated in the south of the Araz River. The territory in the north of the Araz River was called Shirvan and Dagestan, not Azerbaijan. The all-appearance authors of Armenian movie present the ideas of our contemporaries, and they speak in ways that do not accept objections to their ideas. We also quoted three figures, but from three historical figures. They lived at that time which historians in Armenian movies speak about. In comparison with their heroes, our heroes did not talk about history. They created history. They were emperors of Russia. They exactly knew which countries they had occupied and which countries they had entered into an agreement with. Thus, whose soils did Russians annex? Archive materials will help us to explain these questions. They are a lot, so a few films are not enough to cover them. We have chosen some of them. In the early 18th century, the Russian autocrat Peter I, within the framework of his project for Russia's access to the warm seas, is making a Caspian expedition in order to seize the strategically important regions of the Caucasus. However, here he faced a serious opponent in the face of the Ottoman Turkey. In 1724, in Constantinople, a treaty was signed between the great empires, Russia and Turkey, on the partition of the Iranian possessions, namely Azerbaijan. In the agreement signed by Russian diplomat Neplyuyev and Ottoman Wazir Ibrahim Pasha, it was told that Azerbaijani province and all its subordinated territories, the territories and cities under the Yerevan province, are handed over to the Ottoman Empire. We have brought the Russian version of the treaty to your notice. However, taking into consideration that this document was bilateral, we also visited Istanbul State Archives. For the first time, we were acquainted with the Ottoman version of the document. In the Turkish version, it's called the Treaty of Istanbul in 1724. This is the original of the treaty. It has been kept among the Ottoman documents of the Middle Ages and has not been shown to anybody yet. For the first time, it has been introduced to our shooting team. Это был первый в истории мирный трактат между Турцией и Россией. It was the first peace treaty signed between Turkey and Russia in the history. On the 23rd of June 1724, French ambassador to Istanbul, Marquis de Bonac, seeing that the war between Russia and Ottoman Empire was inevitable, mediated the signing of the Istanbul Agreement dividing the territory of Iran. In accordance with this agreement, mainly Azerbaijani territories were divided. In the South Caucasus, Yerevan, Ganja, Karabakh, Nakhchivan and other Azerbaijani lands, including South Azerbaijan, joined Turkey. The Caspian littoral regions of Azerbaijan, as well as Gilan and Mazandaran provinces, were given to Russia. А в состав России отходили прикаспийские области Азербайджана, а также Гелян и Мазандаран. Geylan ve Mazandaran bölgesi de Hazar kıyılarıyla beraber Rusya'ya bırakılmış. Архивные данные не оставляют сомнений. Archival materials do remove all doubts. In the South Caucasus, Russia annexed the Azerbaijani lands, not mythical ancient Armenian lands. The Emperor Peter I and Sultan of the Ottoman Empire Ahmed III knew exactly what territory they had occupied and distributed according to the treaty in 1724. The Azerbaijan statehood was formed in these lands. Rulers of these khanates used to order to mint coins. Khanates had their own territories, a language, army, administration system, and independent foreign policy. All these khanates were subject to the United Azerbaijan Beylerbeylik. One of the capitals of these khanates was Yerevan. To prove that there has been only an ancient Armenia in these territories and only Armenians had lived there, the Armenian side purposefully doesn't mention Azerbaijan is situated on the north of the Araz River in the Caucasus.
Обратимся вновь к документам. История рассудит. В России в 1700...
Let's look through the documents again. History will value itself. In Russia in 1727, during the reign of the Peter II, the agreement between Russia and the Ottoman empires was ratified. It is noted that the merging point of Araz River with the Kura River became intercourse of the Russian, Turkish and Persian lands. The Turkish border is determined by the whole territory between the Kura and the Araz rivers, named all Azerbaijan. In this document, the territory of the Kura and Araz rivers is called Azerbaijan, inter alia Azerbaijan. Of course, Russian emperors and diplomats did not write the word of Azerbaijan as it's today. However, it's impossible to confuse this word with the word Armenia.
1799 год. Фрагмент из указа российского императора Павла I.
The fragment from the decree of the Russian Emperor Pavel I in 1799. The territory is controlled by Ganja, Yerevan, Koy, Karabakh, Tabriz and other separate khanates in Azerbaijan province adjacent to the Ottoman port. The decree states that Azerbaijan is an independent political entity and includes Karabakh, Ganja, Yerevan and other khanates.
Ереванское и другие ханства. Итак, три российских императора.
Thus, three Russian emperors, Peter I, Peter II, and Pavel I, describe Azerbaijan unequivocally in the north of the Araz River in the Caucasus and speak about the independence of the Azerbaijani rulers.
Азербайджанских правителей. В Тифлисе
In 1786, the representative of Russia, Russian diplomat Stepan Burnashov, had been in Tbilisi, in the palace of Georgian Tsar Irakli II. Burnashov traveled all the region and wrote a number of works, including mentioning that Azerbaijani lands are located in the north of the Araz River in the Caucasus. In the chapter Distribution of Azerbaijan Lands, Burnashov describes Azerbaijani khanates and cities. In the north, the current territory of the so-called Azerbaijan lands is neighbored with Kakheta and Kotlin kingdoms, that is to say, with Georgia. Stepan Burnashov specially emphasizes the independence of some Azerbaijani khanates. Azerbaijan rulers have to be divided into two parts as being dependent and independent.
Азербайджанских владельцев разделять должно на самовластных и зависимых.
Then Burnashov lists the names of Azerbaijani khanates situated in the north of the Araz River in consecutive order. Western states were concerned about Russian move into the Caucasus and gave much attention to the situation in the region and took notice. This is the English map of 1835. As you can see here, Azerbaijani territory also covers present-day Armenia. This is the American map published in Boston at the same time. Here, Azerbaijani territory has been also depicted in the Caucasus. It is clear that at the beginning of the 19th century, great powers such as Russia, Great Britain, and the United States of America depicted Azerbaijani territories in the Caucasus, in the north of the Araz River. In 1864, the English consul in Tabriz, Keith Abad, on his memorandum addressed to the British Royal Geographical Society, provided them with the information about Azerbaijan. The Azerbaijan country has been divided between Russia and Persia. Russia has been appropriated 8,000 square miles of territory of Azerbaijan, which is the same with the territory of Great Britain. Keith Abad described Azerbaijani territory subordinated to Russia. The Russian part on the north and northeast extends from the Caucasus Mountains to Baku and the surrounding regions on the Caspian Sea. On the south from the Araz River and the Mugan Plain to the Talish region and the Astara River to the Caspian Sea.
В данную область входят Магометанские области: Еревань, Нахчыван, Карабах.
This region includes Muslim regions such as Yerevan, Nakhchivan, Karabakh, Ganja, Shirvan, Shaki, Shamaki, Baku, Guban, Salyan, and Talish. The British diplomat's memorandum indicates that Azerbaijani lands covered large areas on the rather north of the Araz River in the Caucasus.
Азербайджана охватывали обширные территории на Кавказе, значительно севернее реки Араз. Более того, российские, британские и американские карты показывают.
Additionally, Russian, British, and American maps show that actually Armenia doesn't belong geographically to the territories on the north of the Araz River, because historic Armenia has been situated in Small Asia, not in the Caucasus. Only in the 20th century, after the mass settlement of the Armenians in the Caucasus and the establishment of the Armenian state here, the incorrect idea about these places being historic Armenian lands has been formed. Today, on the basis of the Armenians' claims on Karabakh, there are especially these statements by pro-Armenian figures about the existence of Azerbaijan on the banks of the Araz River, on the north of the Araz River. But preserved historical records, Russian diplomats' notes, geographical maps remove all doubts. The large Azerbaijani territories were bordered with Georgia.